In order at 7:01. First thing, call the meeting to order at 7:02. Pledge of allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Welcome, everybody, to the, I guess the new year, even though it's only December 28th. We do not need to seat any alternates tonight. We'll go to public comment. Public comment once. Anyone have anything out there? Public comment twice. Public comment 3 times. We will close under public comment, hearing none. Item 5 is the election of board officers for the next 2 years, chairperson, vice chairperson, and secretary. So I will entertain nominations for chairperson.
Lost you there, Rich.
I nominate Bill Sawicki for
I
chairman.
second. Sorry, Bill.
Yeah, it happens. What are you gonna do? Any other nominations?
No.
Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? And I will abstain because I don't vote for myself. Thank you, everybody. Hope I can do you people proud and for the next couple of years to do my job. The next office is vice chairperson. I'll entertain nominations for that, please.
I
Motion.
nominate Rich Demko.
Oh, thank you.
Second.
Motion is second.
Who's second?
Karen Lombardi, second.
Oh, thank you, Karen.
Any other further nominations? Hearing none. All those in favor of the vice chairman nominee, say aye, please.
Aye.
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 Any no's out there? And I will abstain.
I'll abstain.
2 abstentions. Yeah, I would
I
think
guess-
so. Secretary. The last open position.
I nominate Ben Kennedy.
Second.
Rich, seconded by Betty Ann. Any other nominees? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions? Me, I'll abstain. Okay, we've got our slate, myself, Rich, and Bev. We're gonna go a little bit out of order, not out of order, but ahead of approving the minutes. Rory is here tonight with some other representatives of the Town Strategic Planning Committee. They had asked a month or so ago if they can present kind of what they do to our board, because we actually should have a handle on this too, since we're responsible for the money. So in that regard, I'll turn it over to Rory or any of his members. And at the end of his presentation, anyone that has questions, please run them through the chair and we'll move on. Rory, it's all yours.
All right. Can't hear you,
can't-
Rory.
Can't hear you, Rory. Maybe you're on mute.
Well, I'll go ahead and start.
Okay.
My name is Kathy Verlick. I'm the chair of the Strategic Planning Committee. And I'd like to thank you all for giving us some time in your meeting tonight. I really do appreciate it. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen if that's all right, just to
Sure.
keep us all oriented. I have put together a little presentation deck, which you should be seeing now. If not, please let me know.
Yep. I can see it.
Perfect. All right. I'm going to start by introducing the members of our committee that are here with us tonight. Most of them, probably with the exception of me, are well known to all of you. But just in case, I'll go through the formality. We have Stefan Bihuniak, Rory Burke, Bob Finley, and myself. I am the chair of the committee. So we're not going to take too much of your time today, but I do want to orient you a little bit to what strategic planning is and why it's important to the town. The Strategic Planning Committee has actually been around for the better part of 10 years. And in that time, we've been working with various town departments and groups to figure out the priorities for our town's direction. And we basically do a lot of data gathering and data mining, and now we're at a place where we're taking our learnings and putting them out into the town. Why is strategic planning important? Well, it forces you to be proactive as opposed to reactive. You start to anticipate problems, situations, concerns, and put plans in place for them rather than waiting until they kind of hit you all at once and you're scrambling to try to figure it out. It also creates what we think of as a sense of visibility to activities that are going on within the organization. So it allows us to get a feel for what people are doing and how that moves the whole machine forward. It helps us plan long-term. So sort of as a support to being proactive, not reactive, we start to think about things not only this year, but 2 years down the line, 5 years down the line, and even 10 years down the line. So we've found that in many industries, and which is where we all come from businesses that use strategic planning as a matter of regular course. We found that the surprises aren't as surprising because you have plans in place already to deal with them before they even come on the horizon. And where this really involves your board is strategic planning provides support for requests for capital. So rather than somebody just walking up and saying, here's my palm, put some money in it, now we're asking people to very clearly define what it is they're looking to spend on and how that fits into the larger picture. So that's really strategic planning in a nutshell. What we do, in addition to examining the different processes, is we have done the analysis and come to the conclusion that yes, strategic planning is something that can be useful within the construct of the town of Seymour and the way that it operates. So we've been memorializing that and putting it into processes that are being implemented on the town hall level and beyond. And we're going to take you through that a little bit more in a few minutes. And that has taken the form initially as implementation in a senior leadership level within town hall. So some of you may have been involved or been asked by Rory for information or data, or perhaps an earlier or present member of our committee for information on the things that you do or things that are important to you. And that's where this information has gone. It's been churned into a larger plan that we're now implementing on a smaller, more precise level. So town hall, as I mentioned moments ago, has taken a big step in implementing all of our strategic planning initiatives. And at this point, I'm actually going to turn it over to Rory, who's been leading these endeavors, and ask him to start to take us through kind of what we've done thus far and what we plan to do going forward. Rory, I can't hear you. All right.
You can see him get frustrated, huh?
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay,
he said
one
don't
moment.
give him 1 minute. Yeah.
Yep.
I think as a fill, just to fill in a little bit. So, one thing we were trying to do with the different departments is have them plan out their year so they have a clear description of how they're going to go throughout that. And we've been, with the town at least, we're doing it in a yearly cycle. As everyone knows, we had a 10-year strategic plan that we've been following over the course of many years. So we're taking it in a little bite-sized chunks now in a yearly fashion to get some of the so we can see some of the activities progress. And it gives us the ability to, within 1 year, and have them report on those plans within that year for each department. So we know it's going to help. Well, we believe it's going to help finance a lot, because this way things that they might want in the strategic as capital items could be put in the strategic plan to make sure they're prepared when they come to budget time for all the things that they might need to supply you guys. That is one of the actions, let's say.
Yeah,
Hopefully,
and yeah, just to sort of build on that, one of the biggest things that we've had to do was actually explain to everyone what strategic planning is and how to do it. And it's interesting that something that, some of us may take for granted in our daily lives. Well, first off, it may seem foreign initially, but then when we can kind of explain it in everyday terms, I like the analogy of baking a cake. You don't take a bowl and put it in the oven and out comes cake. There are other steps and things that you have to do in the meanwhile. And just illustrating that process to the folks initially at Town Hall has been really our first activity. And Rory has done a terrific job in leading that charge on that level. Our goal, obviously, is to achieve 100% strategic plan implementation. And what does that mean? That means that all departments and eventually all boards will have strategic planning practices in place at on some level. And those all roll up into a larger plan. And Rory, I'm going to just keep talking until you holler. So holler when you get here. Otherwise, we'll just keep going. So we're starting this process at the town hall level with the key managers of the different departments. And eventually we'll be identifying additional areas where strategic planning makes sense. And we've found that literally taking a large task, breaking it down into smaller chunks, and then working on those chunks within a set time frame really is a very effective way to kind of make sure your tasks get done. And both Bob and Stefan and myself work with strategic planning on a daily basis in our day jobs. And it's been, really kind of fun to help implement these processes that actually make work easier to do.
I think what's important too, even in the planning stages, is that when you do put together a strategic plan, you may or may not make the goals. So if you're not making a goal, you have to communicate why, and you may not make every goal that you throw out there. And I got to apologize, there's a big echo in here. Can you hear that echo? Okay, that's a little bit better.
That's better.
Yeah, that's better. Yeah, so you may not make that goal.
Can you guys hear me now?
Is that you, Rory?
There you are.
Yeah, there you go.
It is.
Yeah, okay, good.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, let me just finish off. You may not make that goal, but you're at least communicating your progress against the goal. So, the intention of the strategic plan is not to achieve all your goals, but just to have a visibility to the things that you're trying to achieve over the year. And at least you can give, you can give comments to it, how far along you are, if you're going to make it, if you've made it already, and you keep a constant communication on those goals. So go ahead, Rory, I'll let you take it from here.
All right, so
Yeah.
just to
Thank
quickly bounce you, Rory, I'm gonna take you right to, ask you to speak in depth about how you accomplished implementing the strategic plan on the town hall level. We sort of talked about it on an overarching sort of way. So rather than repeat anything, if you can just really drill down a little bit on what you did and how it worked for you, I think that would be really helpful.
Sure. And I'm sorry for the technical difficulties. So, you know, more or less, when we decided to take this new approach to strategic planning, a lot of the departments were, this is their first experience with it, and they are more or less starting from zero. So what we did was a couple of the departments who grasped the concept pretty quickly, we worked with them to put together a draft plan, which we then showed to the other department heads at our senior staff meeting. And we've tried to integrate monthly updates into our senior staff meeting so that we're trying to create a space for it on a regular basis where the First Selectwoman and myself are hearing periodic updates as to how each department is progressing. In addition to that, I've been meeting one-on-one with the department for probably about 6 months now, helping them to put together their plan. And we're starting by saying, all right, what is it that you're doing now that is beyond your daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly activities that you would do on a normal basis? What type of project work are you working on? So for example, with the Public Works Department, you know, it's winter time, they're starting snowplow operations. Their normal preparation work for snowplow operations is not included. However, if they're deciding to make a change to how they conduct these normal operations, the process of implementing that change is what would be included. So we have been working with them on a monthly basis for several months now. We've seen good progress. What we'd like to get to is we ask them to start with where they currently are, what's currently on their plate. From there, we'll ask them, you know, what's coming up in the next year. Look ahead 1 year, tell us what's coming, tell us how you're going to do it, tell us what you need, who you need to work with, etc. And from there, we'll extend to 5 and then 10 years, hopefully. And we've seen good success with this, but we are hoping that you know, this board and the Board of Selectmen, who have greater authority over these departments, can contribute to the process. So for the Board of Selectmen, we have asked them to, they've been for several years now calling in department heads to provide periodic updates. And what we're asking them to do now is when a department head comes in to give their kind of state of the department address, that they ask them to present their current strategic plan. And this strategic planning committee is serving in a kind of consulting role to help them with that. So I think that kind of catches us up to what we've done so far. And I think, Kathy, somebody else is going to talk about the next steps for the Board of Finance.
Absolutely.
That's
So, yep, that is absolutely correct, Rory. Thank you. Let me get my little clicker to go here. So Bob is going to take us through how this ties more directly to the budget process and sort of what's in it for all of you. So I'm going to ask Bob to go ahead and unmute. There we go.
Yeah, so, you know, for the budget process, you know, if we can put things, if all the department heads are conscious of their year, and it's not just budgeted items, they're going to put up, you know, anything strategic that they're working on for the year, but more importantly, the things that they may need to budget for. This way they have to put it on their strat plan, make sure that, you know, when they're bigger complexity plans, you know, make sure they have all the information that they need to provide to you guys so you guys can make more informed decisions based on what they're looking for. if we do it correctly, the plan will tie directly to the budget process so that items on that plan will be, done way prior to when they need the capital budget, right? So they're thinking about things that they might think about things for the next 5 years that they need. So we want them every year to be adding those things to the strat plan so they are conscientiously putting things on the plan, making sure they provide you the information that you need so you can make decisions. So we believe that as a key performance indicator, they can put the relevant data into a usable format so that you can make an assessment on whether they need that or not in that year, or plan it for the next year. So do you have any other slides tied to this?
Nope, that's it.
Okay.
That's it, Bob. I mean, I think it sort of, to sum up, it's not only do we hope to encourage our departments to gather, and to make database decisions and database requests, we hope to start feeding that data back to other groups within sort of the larger machine, including yourselves, so that you can start to see what those trends are and see what's happening, and actually start to be proactive and predictive yourselves beyond what you already do. So we're hoping to just...
Yeah, you made the comment before that you think it's common sense, but sometimes things like that can get lost in the shuffle. So if they're putting out the plan during the planning process, it'll be there for when they need to do all the work required to make sure you guys have the information that you need. So it's really just proactive thinking about what they want to do over the course of the year. And then again, they may come up throughout the year and say, oh, we don't need that anymore, or, we might not do that anymore. They can take that off the plan as well, but they're proactively looking at that in the course of the beginning of the year so that they can provide the information over the course of the year. So, okay.
Yeah,
Thanks, Kat.
it's really just starting to think of things, like I said, in more of a holistic and a proactive way, rather than just waiting and reacting and waiting for things to be tossed at them. And everybody has a big, sort of panic mode, and how are we going to do this? By starting to analyze trends and to be able to think about things a bit more analytically and a bit more proactively, hopefully we'll start to get into a pace and rhythm where surprises aren't as earth-shattering as they can be. So I'm going to, at this point, I'm going to throw it to Stefan and ask him to take you through sort of specifically how we're hoping that you'll be able to support our activities in this endeavor.
Hi guys. So I think we've all been, everybody on this call anyways, has been through the whole process of the sky is falling attitude that some departments will come to you or the Board of Selectmen with and say, oh my God, we need all this money for this thing. What we would like to do, and it'll help everybody, is if we can start getting away from that. There's a lot of things that we can plan out, whether it's equipment purchases or refreshing equipment or what have you, or just anything that drives like a progressive nature of thinking into our departments in our town. And the strategic plan will help with that. So we'd love to get to a point where, as you guys get into your budget season here and going forward, we'd love to see the strategic plan be part of these departments' budget requests. We think it would be helpful to both the department asking and you guys to know, what is the sort of long-term vision on why we need money for, X thing. It would be great if we could also see how off-budget cycle requests would tie into strategic plans. If they don't necessarily tie into the strategic plan, then that's something that we can raise as a concern for our strategic planning committee to maybe work with that department and identify why we missed that or how we can build out a piece of their plan to accommodate, the ask. So realistically, we'd love to see if you guys would ask departments to include that strategic plan in their ask. I think it would help Rory as well get to that sort of 100% adoption, because some of the departments are a little bit slower to see the benefits of something like this. And I think a lot of that is tied to the fact that they don't see it, affecting their bottom line, so to speak. I think the nature of asks in a strategic plan that we've seen from all of these departments is monetary, and they'll be more likely to become, accepting of the plan if they can see it tied to their bottom line. So, and the other thing that we need help with is if you guys see a strategic plan from a department that isn't giving you all the information you need or even close to all information you need, you should be running that up to us, telling Rory, so that we can go reach out to that group and see if we can work with them to, sort of bolster their plan a little bit more.
A couple questions, if I may. I gathered from what I've heard that the strategic plan is more focused on the capital aspect of the town rather than the regular operational budgets, or am I making an error in that?
No, that's
Bob, I would
fair.
say-
I would say most of it is probably tied to capital, but not everything.
Then I think part of the way to initiate this as far as our end is the director of finance has to be the gatekeeper. When he absolutely has to be as part of his job or her job, his job, whatever, because all of the information needs to have a central clearing point. We've got 7 people on our board, all of us who work as you do as volunteers, but the body that's in the town hall that deals with departments on a daily basis is the finance department. And I think the director of finance or his designee, however it gets structured, should be the ones as part of this annual budget request to send out, let's say, a quick little memo that, capital requests, future capital requests starting for 2022, 23 and out for the next 5 years. We'd like to have each department put their needs down. And then at the end of it, to summarize it and coordinate it, not necessarily into the capital budget that we're all familiar with, but into, let's call it a capital wish list, for lack of a better terminology.
Yeah, Bill, you're hitting it on the head, and that's what the plan tries to do, because the plan is more, it's forever, really. At the end of the day,
No, absolutely. And I think I think that this is a great thing. I talked a little bit yesterday with Rory. One of the things I'd like to see put through, and from our board's perspective, is what's a capital item? And from my point of view, as seeing, having, audited approximately probably 25 municipalities in this state, not to mention agencies of the state, there should be a dollar threshold established to what is a capital item. What's the cost, and will it be used over 1 year? I tossed out a number of $10,000, meaning anything $10,000 or higher would be considered a capital item. And presumably, if you bought something for that amount of money, it would last over a year. Anything less than that would be, say, included in the regular operational budgets of the particular department, whether they call it repair and maintenance or they call it supplies or, some other unique category. But I think the definition of capital should be, if it hasn't been already, communicated to the departments and say, okay, what do you see as your needs for next year, year after, and in lockstep with your timetable of, let's say, the first 5 years, and then every year you drop the old and you add the new. But I think any type of coordination and follow-up to get at least a preliminary start on this thing has got to run through the finance department. It's the only way it's going to work. And
Bill,
then
if I may, I'm with you on all of this stuff, and we definitely agree that it needs to be a professional at town hall that administers this. It's just not feasible to have a volunteer organization deal with this. With that said, in regards to the capital aspect of this, what we are asking these departments to do, and we've sort of gone over this, is break their long-term goals into shorter-term asks, so that they can progress towards a longer goal. So that's where kind of the 1 year planning comes in. So you may see items that that a group is trying to accomplish in 1 year that tie into a bigger overall goal. So that's where sort of the yearly budget ask may come into play more.
And
And
that's, and
also,
that's fine.
Bill, yeah, and also, Bill, I wanted to throw in here too, it's not just going to be capital request items in the strat plan. There'll be other tasks that they might be doing. So there's going to be some items out there will be for the strat, for the finance group. And then there'll be other tasks that they would do that are independently, from the finance team, just to
And
make
that-
sure.
And that's fine. I mean, as long as the numbers concerning either capital budget or operational budget are differentiated from anything else, then that's certainly doable.
Okay, that makes
And-
sense.
Cool.
Just one other thing I'd like to add, Bill, is I think Doug should certainly continue to be the liaison with the Board of Finance.
Yep.
We've been running the plan out of the Selectman's office just because, as Bob said, there are non-capital elements to the plan as well. So we've been sort of the keepers of the plan, but I can absolutely, during the budget process, work with Doug to ensure that you guys get copies of the plan.
Yeah, I think the coordination, I mean, we're more as our job is, we're a lot more on the numbers side, and that, maybe it's operationally, it runs through Selectman's office, and numbers wise, it runs through finance with coordination with your place in the Selectman's office. This way, everybody knows what everybody else is doing. And the numbers aren't surprising to anybody. You may catch something ahead of our board getting it, so that the department would have to, make a change or some kind of adjustment or whatever. But I think conceptually, not a bad thing to take another step towards professionalism in how we do what we do, because this is not Seymour 1979 or 1989 anymore.
100%. And
Absolutely.
yeah, and I think that one of the things that we're tasked with demonstrating to not only the folks at Town Hall, but to everyone else, is that this really doesn't make your job any harder. Initially, it seems like it might, but once you establish the habit and begin to think begin to think strategically, then your job actually becomes easier.
Well, I
So-
think the educational process is it. I mean, if you get it across, the goals and objectives and the how-tos, as it were, then makes everybody's life easier. I mean, I know from my experience of sitting on this board, not just as chairman, but when I came on as just a member a while back, there are some departments in this town that are old line departments that, don't look progressively down the pike. They know, well, and I know I've heard it in hearings, how's your budget? Oh, well, it's the same. Well, do you have any, any requests, or is there anything you need or anything? No, we're good. And you just get that sense of talking to certain people in certain departments that the progressive visionary aspect of some of this is going to be a sell that, obviously your group, Rory, and all are going to have to, just keep pushing. But, it's a good thing.
100%.
The only other thing I want to say quickly, because we're advocating for this to become part of the budget process, is that we only started getting the staff working towards this maybe about 6 months ago. And so I don't know that everybody will be completely ready this budget cycle to be presenting these documents to you. And I just want to kind of temper expectations for this year, but our hope
No,
is
understood. This is brand
certainly
new.
by next year.
Yeah, I mean, this stuff is brand new. And I also think that for any and all of the departments we deal with, it's not a deal breaker, clearly. And I think it might be helpful during the year as things progress, when you start rounding up information and dealing with various departments on different items, to keep our board in the loop. You can even come to the board and we can chat a little bit if an issue comes up, or something in a presentation just looks odd, or whatever it might be. But I think if we maintain the lines of communication into what you guys are all doing, I think by 12 months from now, it, the initial baby steps everybody can take.
For sure.
Fingers
Absolutely.
crossed, all that good stuff.
And we'll just keep breaking it down into 2-week cycles and keep hammering at it.
And if you got to break it down into 15-minute cycles, you can do that too.
Absolutely. Well, that sort of wraps up our presentation. We didn't want to take too much of your time.
Does anyone on the board have any questions for anyone on the committee that they'd like to ask?
Good.
Okay, I guess everything is okay then. Thank you very much for coming. As I said, I had a heads up with Rory yesterday, which was very helpful on some of this stuff and the goals and all. And as they say, onward and upward.
That's it. Well, thanks again for your time, everyone, and all the
You're
best
very
for the new year.
welcome.
Thank you to the board for the time.
Kathy.
Thank you.
You
Yep,
too.
you-
Stay safe.
Yep, you
We
too.
will. Bye.
Okay. All righty. Number 7, the approval of minutes from the November 23rd regular meeting. They've been distributed. We've all had a chance to read them, I hope. I will take a motion to accept or a
Motion
motion for
approved.
any edits. Okay, got a motion to approve. Rich, second, please.
I'll second it, Kristen.
Okay, any discussion, any edits, any changes to be made? Anything like that? Hearing none, all those in favor of accepting the minute or approving the minutes, say aye.
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 Opposed?
Aye.
Chair- Oh, was that a no vote or was that just a late acceptance, Jim?
I said aye.
Okay. No one has a no vote. Any abstentions? Chair votes aye. Thank you. Report from the finance director. Doug, you're on.
Okay, yeah, as far as the current year goes, we're still within budget. Revenues are at 49% of the budget, with the property tax at 57% of the budget. Property tax revenues, that is, the ECS grants at 26%. Expenditures overall are at 46% of the budget, the police at 40%, public works at 40%. And the fire department at 60%. And then we have a few transfers coming up. There was one that I didn't submit today because I didn't get it until today from the Public Works Department, but it'll be in your next meeting. And then we have signed contracts with Rob Dreyer and Tim Connors, which we need to do some transfers for those.
Okay. Doug, question, the Fed money that's coming in, the ARPA money,
Yes.
have we developed, made a plan or anticipated expenditures of what we're going to do with it? And how much are we expecting as a town?
No, we have not made any plans yet. We have received half of it.
How much?
And we are expected to receive 4.5 million. So 2.3 million we've received.
Okay,
And that is sitting in a separate bank account and a special revenue fund, and nobody's touching it until all the boards agree on what to do with it.
Yeah, as I was gonna say, I wouldn't spend 10 cents of it, nor can you without a viable plan to what you're gonna do with the money. Because I will also guarantee that, the federal government giveth and very quickly federal government can take it away. So that's why we've got to have everything locked down solid in terms of what we're going to do with this money. I mean, it's a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's almost 10% of our whole budget.
Mm-hmm.
And do we have all of the backup and things for lost revenues and all of that stuff that pertain to the virus and things?
Yeah, I put together, you probably are aware that the GFOA put out a working spreadsheet for that. And I went ahead.
I was the one that sent it to you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's okay.
But yeah, I put it together for the year that I could.
Okay.
We can do it again for this year and next year and the next year. But so far I have the year in which we have the numbers for it.
Okay, because you're always going back a year, so I think you
Right.
should have details to do the next point of it. So you might
Yeah, we're
want to
getting
think,
close.
yeah, you might want to think to start putting some stuff together. And remember, any place or any number you have on any sheet of paper, you got to have some PDFs and support behind it. Because not only our auditors, but again, if Uncle Sam decides to come in and say things like, "Hey, can we take a look?" You don't want to be the one not to have the sufficient amount of support.
Mm-hmm.
And I see on your summary that on a go forward basis, everything is going to run through a special events fund. Christmas.
Yeah, I
Memorial Day
looked
Parade and shit.
I looked into Bev Kennedy's question, and going forward, the Memorial Day Parade and the Christmas Day Parade are under the town's EIN numbers. So I'm requesting that those funds they're not requesting, but they will be put under town policies and procedures under a special revenue fund. Right now, we're just calling it Seymour Special Events.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, I discussed it with the First Selectwoman, and she's in agreement with that, and so we're moving forward with that.
Okay. Any other questions for the finance director? Anybody? Okay, I don't see a groundswell of noise or hands going up, so. All right, well, thank you, Doug.
And then the only other thing is we did send out the beginning of December letters for budget requests.
Yes.
And we've gotten some back, not a whole lot of them, but we've gotten some back. So.
Well, that's a good thing. I mean, considering we need it for the summit and stuff like that, it's better not to guess. All right. All right, if there are no questions, I don't see the name.
Bill.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Jim.
Bill, I have a question. I'm just curious for Doug if he has information. I know the scale wasn't be able to purchase this year because it wasn't available for the town. We have to roll it over next year.
Yeah, I believe there was a 60-day or 90-day delay on that.
Is there anything else major like that we have to roll over next year that we couldn't purchase this year that was in the budget?
Some of when I talked to Chief today, one of the cars has been delayed a little bit. He just got it, now he has to outfit it.
Right.
Oh, and that's usual. That's usual stuff with the lights and everything else inside. Okay. Betty Ann, you had a question?
I did, thank you.
Okay,
Bill.
no, go ahead.
The invoicing with the police, our status through now the end of the year with collections?
I was just gonna wait until that agenda item came up, but yeah, the collections went well. I believe it's down to a balance of 120,000, and the chief assistant is working on the collections, and also in conjunction with our assistant finance director.
Okay.
And so they're keeping up to date on it. They're sending out collection letters. That one company that was kept dragging its feet, Triple J, for like $700. They finally collected on that.
Yay.
So, yes.
I'm excited. We collected
That's
the
a good
money.
thing. Thank you very much,
All
Chairman.
right. Any other questions for Doug? Okay. I don't think Anne Marie's on. Comments from the First Selectwoman? I don't think she's on, so I guess she doesn't have anything to say. So transfer requests, there were none in the packet, but as Doug said, they're coming down the pike. Status of the $300,000 reimbursement. Doug, that's you.
Yeah, after our last meeting, I talked with Anne Marie, or the First Selectwoman, sorry.
That's okay.
And
We know who she is.
she was going to contact our representative, Nicole. And unfortunately, I haven't been able to see her since, and last week I was out, town hall was closed. I talked to the business manager at the Board of Ed and today, and he said he still hasn't seen anything, no emails, no nothing. He's heard down the pike though that he may be getting something pretty soon. Also heard that there was some turnover. One of the directors at the OPM over the Capitol was, he left.
Who?
Not sure the guy's name. It was one like the director of the Capitol.
Well, there are no directors at OPM because I know quite a few of them and nobody's got that title. What department, I mean, do we know what branch of OPM left?
I'll have to find it out.
Yeah,
for you, Bill. I'll send you the name.
let me know.
Hey, Bill,
Yeah.
this is Rory. It was Casa
Rory.
Diamantis.
Oh, well, okay. Thank you.
Yep.
That's fine. Thanks, Roar. Yeah, I mean, whatever, I know, Doug, you've been out ill, and we hope you feel better and you get rid of the bug. But whatever you can find out, if when you get the information, if you could please shoot an email off to our board. I mean, you got everybody's email address. We'll all know at the same time where it is.
Okay.
Betty
Yes,
Ann,
I will.
was that a hand up or just kind of flexing your wrist?
No, it was a hand up. So what would
Okay.
what would that change what would that change have any effect with what we have going on?
May not. I mean, the audit requests come through the Department of Education, which is not necessarily an OPM group. They have their own little audit group, which takes town claims and goes through them with magnifying glasses and looks in boxes of dirty invoices and papers and stuff. So I don't think it should have an impact. Fingers crossed. Hope.
Cross my fingers. Thank you.
Yeah, no, you're welcome. Okay, reconciliation of the Board of Ed with the town records. That was included in your packet, and gee, it looks like we balance again, which is a good thing. Anything we should know about across the bridge, Doug, as far as their numbers or anything?
Working with Tom as far as the current year goes, they're doing okay.
Okay. All right, private duty, I think we touched on that a couple of items back. And,
Yes, and I apologize for asking
no,
that question earlier.
Better you asked than forgot. So it all works out. It all works out in the end, honest. Okay, new business. Does anybody have anything?
No.
Okay, bless you if that was a sneeze or a cough. Bev?
No,
Oh, it just
I'm
looked
good.
like you were going to be saying something.
No, I'm good.
Okay. Nothing under new business. Doug, one thing. Are we done with our audit, or are we still tidying up loose ends?
Yeah, we still have some loose ends to go.
On our end or on the people across the bridge, or both?
Actually, both. I got a few things I got to send over to tomorrow, and the Board of Ed's got their list too.
Okay. If you would, Doug, I'd like to see, we're at December 28th. I'd like an email of both lists, town and Board of
Okay.
Ed. Because as our board, we're responsible for the town audit. So I'd like to know what kind of stuff is still open at, December 28th. But the only thing I can say is good idea on getting the extension.
Bill, I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead, Bev.
How long is that extension good for?
January 31st. If a
Okay.
second extension is needed, it has to be applied for by January 31st. And every extension that's asked for, OPM wants to know what's not done, why isn't it done, and what information is being waited on.
Okay.
They have, they're not adverse to giving extensions out, but to their credit, they finally, because let me just say, back in the day, all you had to do was sign the form and send it in, and you got an automatic extension. And I worked on one audit where I got 7 of them and never had to explain why. Just
Oh.
fill the form out, sign it, send it in. But now they've tightened down in the last, I'd say 4 or 5 years to where they want to know, and to their credit, they need to know what's going on that an audit can't get in on time. And most of the time, the reasons are legit. Waiting on information for different areas and questions that need to be answered. So it's not a horrible process. They just want to be in the loop as to why. Betty Ann, did you want to say something?
I did. Who is that submits that extension?
It's signed by the First Selectwoman and the auditor. And it went in by the end of last month. The first extension has to be applied for on or before November 30th, because the audit's due December 31st. And again, that's oftentimes in the eye of the beholder, where, if you got it in a couple of days after, you wouldn't get crucified. But normally you follow it, and by November 30th, if you need an extension, you get the form in, get everybody to properly sign, you explain why and how come. And it's usually an automatic process. When you start asking for second and third extensions and that, then, that gets a little more into the nitty gritty of how come and what's going on.
Very good. So that was submitted, and our deadline for the next one is
January 31.
Oh, thank you.
January 31. And hopefully we don't need it. So if Doug, if you can shoot me that information, because if there are any issues, I'll give Scott Bassett a call if I have to and talk to him. He's a decent guy. He knows his job, obviously, and he's always done right by the town. So I've never had an issue with him. Okay. Correspondence. Anybody get any letters, emails, cards? Nothing?
Cards.
Oh, okay. Well, I can say I didn't get any, and we like to keep it that way if we can. With that, number 16 is Rick's favorite time of the meeting. So with that said, I'll take a motion for an adjournment, and I'll take a second for it.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Bev first. Anybody second it?
I'll second it.
Jim second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I wouldn't think so. Chair votes aye. Have a good new year, healthy and happy and all that stuff. And according to the email that I got from Steve Perry, until further notice, town board and commission meetings will be Zoom. So, unless something changes next month, we're going to be, looking at all of the faces on the screen again. So stay safe, everybody. Have a good holiday.
Thank you, Bill.
Take
Happy
care
New
of it.
Year, everybody.
Happy New Year.
Bye.
Happy New Year. Take
Happy
care.
New Year.